Hey everybody, welcome to a different style video on the channel. Um, I'll still be uploading some art stuff, my audio comic that I wrote, and voice acting, even if it's not the greatest, and occasional walkthroughs. But I wanted to do a different video in honor of Iron. I've been a big fan of watching your channel for a while, and you're always so great, and I love your videos. A big shout out to you, man. I really appreciate it. And part of the reason this video even got made. Sorry for the thumbnail being just like a rough watercolor corner piece to something. I just took whatever Venom art that I did, and I didn't have many, so I just used the bit that I did for um, my watercolor Marvel Spider-Man poster that I've been working on, which I still haven't had done. I might be an artist, but I'm very scatterbrained. But yeah, let's get this video on the way. Enough wasting your time with bullcrap. Um, Harry. Harry or Eddie. I personally think Harry has the most potential out of every Venom that we've seen to be the greatest in this universe, especially in this specific universe. Think about it from this logical point of view. Dr. Octopus has always been a villain, but he became a father figure and almost like the drive. Like one of the most important lines that Peter says near the end is like, "You were everything I wanted to be." Basically as a scientist, but also more as a person. Like he looked up to Otto. Like we all have our heroes, right? Like imagine having a father figure betray you. That's utterly destroying. And not only that, throughout the story, Otto's helped Peter. But just to find out he's secretly been jabbing a knife slowly into Peter's back and and just everything. It's destroying. And that has the most potential for it to be an effect in the main story of the second game with the symbiote. Like imagine Peter like just slowly getting so angry. Like he lost a lot of people that he loved. Imagine having an interaction with Martin Lee or Dr. Octopus. Your actions not only killed millions of people, but killed Aunt May. You may know me, you may know everything about me, but you killed my family. And just imagine that anger that Peter would feel, and then he would try to kill Otto or Lee. And that fight, I could even see it going further. Like, just the part of the reason why Peter takes off the symbiote or has to get it off is because he realizes midway through the game he's becoming like Otto. Like seeing Miles' reaction to him and seeing a lot of how his actions have affected other people around him. It's devastating. Like take it from someone who had when he was younger an abusive and also an addict of a parent. I won't say what, but she was alcoholic. Any type of addiction corrupts. You don't know what you're getting. A 50-50. It brings out your darkest emotions, your darkest thoughts. And by the time you realize you're utterly alone, you have no one. And with Harry already dying, this has more potential to be better than how the Amazing Spider-Man movie handled it. Like, he was just thrown in the mix, and then near the end, Green Goblin. At least with this, it was slowly set up, and then presto changeo, he becomes Venom. But this has the most potential for his transformation than Eddie Brock ever did. Now, I know that there's probably a lot of Eddie Brock fans, and they will rake me over the coals for this. But I don't think Eddie Brock really works for this universe. I don't think he does. I don't even really. I liked his character, but I never really completely liked him in the comics because of his origin. He was always meant to be a rival to Peter. At least with the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, that was set up way better, and he was slowly but surely going to be done better than he was in the comics. And it actually was great. That's the when I think of Eddie Brock, I think of the Spectacular Spider-Man. And with this, Harry has the most potential to have those emotional moments because he is like not only just a friend but a brother. Like if the first game set up Otto as like a father figure, then this one sets up a brother and a friend. And imagine that feeling of betrayal and also anger and jealousy, but also that feeling how loss can bind. Like, take that quote Freya said from God of War Ragnarok, the bit about the deepest wounds form the strongest bonds. Imagine that. Like, we already have Harry being set up, like, to be this kind-hearted, but imagine anyone being corrupted by something. Just all that kindness slowly just begins to wither away, begins to drain, begins to become nothing more than just utter darkness. And yeah, we already had him become Venom in the Ultimate cartoon. Really, that really doesn't count. That doesn't count in my eyes because really he wasn't really given. He just got Venom in a watch and became Venom. That's it. He really wasn't set up. And with the Raimi films or any other media, he always becomes Goblin. Even in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, Goblin. Very few times has he became Venom. And I know a lot of people are like, well, Eddie Brock should be Venom. Here's the thing. There's plenty of reasons why that doesn't work in this universe. The first and obvious one is, yes, he's set up. Cool. But I think that was more not a nod to us about basically, yeah, he's in this universe. He's here. He could be whatever and be set up to be something different in the future. But you also have to remember the symbiote can become anything. Like anyone, take over anyone. So when Najee Jeter said, oh, it's everywhere, we could have multiple Venoms. Like, Harry could be the main one, but you could see an Eddie Brock Venom. You could see this, that, and the other. Heck, you could even have it to where the first Venom reveal that we got was basically, maybe it could have been Peter, or maybe it could have been Harry. Think about it from this perspective. The symbiote did not touch Peter yet. So why would it have a symbol? And if it was Peter in the suit, why wouldn't it have a symbol in the first place? Get what I'm saying? To be honest, Harry has a lot of potential because he has those emotional ties to Peter in ways that Eddie Brock doesn't. Eddie Brock was designed to be a rival to Peter at the Bugle. He was designed to be kind of like a muscle, kind of a jerk, but he's still likable in some aspects. But he really wasn't meant to be Venom here because he doesn't have much connection. In a similar way to how Otto had a connection to Peter, not just on a working front, but as a father figure. Like, think about it. If anyone's ever seen the movie Treasure Planet, it's an underrated movie. Please, if you haven't checked it out, please do, because it is well worth it. Think about the character of Jim from that movie, how they handled, like, he had his father left, and he found a father figure in I can't remember his name, but one of the pirates in that movie. And like a lot of the moments, like there's like he's hard at trusting him because he thinks he's betrayed him and stuff like that. With Harry being Venom, now let's just cut to the chase. There's moments where you could set up that gradual jealousy and descent into madness and into darkness. Because think about it, all the lines in the previous game always set up that not only did he have an illness, but also the fact that he was kind of like the opposite. Like while Peter and MJ loved the lifestyle that Harry had, and he was brought up being rich and stuff like that, he didn't mind watching an old cartoon on a TV in May's fridge and stuff like that. And imagine coming out of this sickness and realizing one of the many people that you love is gone, and it's partially due to your own father. Think about how that would affect Harry. No one's actually thought about that. Devil's Breath killed May. Who created Devil's Breath? Osborn. He can make a unique little program to honor his wife and his son's friend's aunt, but that's not going to change that he has blood of her on his hands. Otto may have pulled the gun, figuratively, obviously, and Lee might have helped, but she's dead because of an Osborn, or because, more specifically, Harry's own father. Imagine the mental toll it takes for him to understand, like, not only did you help destroy this city, but also you disregarded everything that Mom stood for. She wanted cleanness and this and that and whatever she was set up, like a lot of things that she was set up in the previous game. But also your actions not only created Lee trying to save me, and he literally nearly could have killed everyone. And then your actions also killed Peter's aunt. Imagine the fight that would have. Because here's the thing. This is a little underrated, but compared to Spectacular Spider-Man or some of the... it's not really built up that really Norman really loves anyone. This is a unique take on Norman that I really like, where he actually cares. Unlike Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or The Amazing Spider-Man or, hell, even Spectacular Spider-Man. He's always been a prick. He doesn't care about anybody. But this time, he's formed a little bit differently. Yeah, he's a bit of a prick, but he actually cares. And that relationship with him and Harry has the most potential to form Venom. Because, yeah, the symbiote does reach out to Norman, but that's because, one, the symbiote is drawn to negative and corrupting emotions sometimes. At least how it is written. It feeds on it. It's like fuel. And of course, in an emotional moment, of course it's going to reach out because it sees another food source, and it can basically spread. And with Harry learning about not only all of Norman's actions, but imagine learning that your father experimented, tortured other people to find a cure to save you. And you have to live with that guilt of realizing, oh my God, how many people have suffered because you wanted to keep me alive? And I don't even think Harry would know about Lee or the others. And who knows how many others have been tortured and experimented on We don't know. And we don't get to see those other projects. That's the more important thing. Why do we see all these different GRs and stuff, but only Lee and Venom get revealed? What about the others? And that has the most potential out of anything to get revealed. Like some of the other people, maybe you could have a moment similar to Batman Arkham Knight with like the Simon Stagg, where like Harry's like figuring out, my dad tortured and killed multiple people and very few survived to save me. Imagine the mental anguish that could have, and like him trying to confess with Peter about it. Like, there's not much you could do. Like, the betrayal of trust that comes from that father and son relationship could also play a factor into the story. Like, that's an underlying thing that I think would be interesting. Like, where the first game focused on Peter and Otto's like a father-son workplace environment also, this game could have like a side part of focusing on Harry and Norman's father and son dynamic, and how easily it is that it can, when you want to protect and keep the people you care about alive and loved and all that jazz, you keep doing that and you'll be eventually losing them. And that could play a factor into the final boss or how Harry develops through the game, because there's tons of things. Like, basically, like, you don't have to have Eddie Brock be Venom to basically be as good as the comics or stuff, because they already confirmed the stuff that made Venom so great, it's gonna be there. But in the case of this game, Harry has the most potential, because the amount of story potential he could have when writing is great. As a brother to Peter, almost. Not just a friend, a brother. He could basically be what the Amazing Spider-Man movies couldn't. Because if you think about how they did Harry, like the closest we got was the Sam Raimi films, and good or bad, at least how they handled some aspects of Harry in those movies, like slowly setting him up just to become the threat that he was meant to be. And if you don't think that's not that great, the fanscription actually wrote like a version of Spider-Man 3 without Venom, and it's pretty okay. You know, like I could actually see like Harry just becoming insane. Like, imagine this for Marvel Spider-Man 2 with the amount of potential Harry has, not just as a brother, but as this person that Peter cares about so much. Like, he already lost Aunt May. He has Miles and MJ, but if you think about it, MJ doesn't want to live with him. She's focused on her career. Imagine the mental anguish of feeling like you're utterly alone. You have no one. You're trying to pick up all the pieces. And you feel like you're that guilt, that pain, that just stays with you. The loss of losing someone you love doesn't leave. And that's the more important thing. While Miles handled it better because of Peter, imagine this game as like the reverse of that. Where Peter slowly gets to is corrupted, and that affects over with Harry, because maybe they kind of share that pain, that loss, and that stuff. The only difference is while Peter is eventually being able to rise above it, Harry falls. Good or bad, Harry has more potential to be Venom in this universe because the amount of storyline that you could throw in, not just him as a brother, but as a friend, but also the amount of story potential is insane. There's elements that nobody's thought of, nobody's even mentioned. Like with the fact with Norman, the amount of stuff that he did experimenting on people and to cure Harry. Imagine Harry's reaction to not only hearing that his father played a hand in May's death, but also it was partially someone who Norman worked with. And midway through that game, he was already messing with Otto anyways, like pulling funding, being kind of a Norman. Like, imagine realizing, like, your father is just kind of like, he's still a jerk. Heck, that could even play a factor in Marvel Spider-Man 3, where Norman goes and becomes Green Goblin. But that's neither here nor there. With the fact that what makes Venom so great and what makes Harry so great is that they're a mirror, a dark reflection of the main hero. With Harry, he's the reflection of everything that the darkness, the pain, the anger. Like, while Peter has good health and has powers, Harry's dying. And he has the symbiote to keep him alive, and it's like a parasite. And it could not even be healing him. And while Peter has people around him, Harry just has his father. And he has Peter and MJ. That's it. And pretty much, like, think about it from this point of view. The thing I love about these games so far is that they're introducing Peter's more dangerous, more darker villains later in his career when he has more experience. That was the one problem I've always had with Spider-Man comics, even in the shows. Sometimes his villains, the more dangerous ones, still appear earlier in his career. And I've always had a problem with it because of the fact that his more dangerous villains should be when he has more experience, but also lacks that knowledge of, like, oh crap, this is something new. Like with the first game with Doc Ock in the Sinister Six, that was the first time he's probably ever dealt with that type of threat. And Doc Ock was an intellectual threat. That's what people are forgetting. Doc Ock was an intellectual threat. He planned each bit like a domino effect and played it like a chess game. Moved each piece to their specific point and knew exactly where to move stuff. But Venom is not an intellectual completely threat. He's a psychological threat, an emotional threat. He will attack everything you hold dear. And when it comes to Peter and Miles, I don't think Harry would deal with Miles well. Like, I don't think he would care. I think he would just enjoy making Peter suffer through Miles. Like, think of it like the Joker in Jason Todd. He would target the sidekick to make an example to get emotionally at the hero. That's the whole reason Joker beat and killed Jason Todd. It wasn't to get at Jason Todd or anything like that. It was to get at Batman. He was the main goal. He didn't care whether Jason came back or anything like that. He just wanted to get at Batman. And I know this is a Spider-Man video, but think about this. Imagine Venom attacking Peter on multiple fronts. Not just emotionally, being the fact that he's Harry, psychologically using everything at his disposal that Peter holds dear, like not just MJ or everyone, but also attacking the protege that he's trying to protect and help and all that. While Peter is the father figure and the science teacher and all that in this game, imagine this. Imagine the thinking, just think about it for a second. Venom is dangerous as Harry, more dangerous than people are willing to admit, because he knows Peter better than he knows himself. And that's something that Eddie Brock doesn't have at all. Yeah, he's connected with the symbiote, and the symbiote was on Peter. Sorry. But Harry knows Peter inside out, not only as a friend, but as a brother, and almost just connecting with the symbiote only added to that. And when that hatred forms, it's always like a black mirror. You don't know anything. You can't trust your feelings. You can't truly do much. And that's the best part. Now, I haven't given many reasons why he's completely the best. He could be the best Venom, but this is off script, and it was kind of like I really didn't have time to think of too many things. But hopefully, you guys enjoyed this little ramble. Like, sub, all that jazz. Bye bye.